Ready?
Get the best of both worlds. All right. That's great. I know.
Heavy metal.
I'm and Dave singing in the background somewhere. Whew.
Yeah, that was beautiful. It's beautiful as always. Welcome to IoT Coffee Talk, everyone.
It's not coffee talk without Van Halen, know?
No, not at all. I mean,
what it is.
We have to pay tribute to the man all the time. We have to remember his greatness and all the revolutionary guitar stuff that he did, both hardware and software. It was a whole system, baby. Hey, Marc, what's up, man?
Yeah, a long time I couldn't connect.
I know.
A lot of work here, but having fun and visiting a lot of events lately.
That's
great.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I could be hanging out with you guys. It's fun it's good to be back on the road, even though it looks like COVID's starting to spike up again.
But, yeah, it is. It is in the US.
They've been.
I hear stories here and there about that new variant. Whatever.
What is that? BA.5? Yeah.
Or Centauros, or.
I'm sorry.
Do you know about this Centauros variant, or this is not relevant?
What's that?
I don't know. I listened to something on the radio, but maybe this is.
Are you talking about the monkey thing?
No. A new variant called Centauros. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
so you guys have a real name for it in España, and we're just calling it like BA.5 or something.
Yeah.
Not as clever.
Yeah. Well, you start to resort to codes when you have so many variants.
Yeah.
That is hard to come up with names. It's like hurricanes nowadays, right?
Right. But I would like this to have like this kind of software or platforms that give these random names with an adjective and a noun together. So I have now machines called, let me check the last machine that I generated. It's called Shy Sky. So let's imagine, the new variant, Shy Sky. Like, it's fun. At least it's fun, right? And it's very
fun.
random.
Yeah, you gotta make it fun.
Yeah, you gotta give something that's completely unfun a fun name, right?
That's how twisted we are. Welcome to this episode of Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. Yes. Is that what we're gonna call it this
Sorry
week?
for that,
dude. Hey, Marc, look at him. Doesn't he look ruined? He looks like he just woke up, right? Rob. Yeah, he actually did just wake up.
It's very hot. It's very hot. So
it's very hot.
This is something new, right? You didn't talk about that.
Yes, the heat's hot, and so where I live, the heat is hot. It's hot heat. I had to drop it like it was hot. Up in the Seattle area, most people don't have air conditioning in their homes, and because it never ever got hot up here before, but now it is, and we're burning up. And so we play this game at our house where you have the windows open at night. Oh, there's a truck going by. Windows are open at night, and you're timing it, like you're waiting till it still will get into the 60s at night, Fahrenheit. And so we time opening the windows when it breaks into the 60s, fans going everywhere. And then the next morning, you're looking at your phone to tell you when it's going to break through back to the 70s and then start racing up to the 90s or whatever. And then we seal all the windows closed again. And so, it's unusual for here, but we had this last year. I read an article. The city of Portland is now requiring all new homes have to have air conditioning in them, which I know is weird, even, because Portland's like Seattle; it never gets hot. But last year we had that weird heat thing where it was 116 degrees.
Yeah.
And I think that I read like 800 people died in Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia because they just and it might who knows who it was, but anyway, I never really thought about it growing up in Texas. I thought everybody had air conditioning. I thought every house on the planet had air conditioning.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I moved up here that they didn't have it. So go figure.
Well, you know what? It's going to be a great area for folks who are in the HVAC business because there's probably very little HVAC, like residential HVAC.
Yeah. A lot of retrofit. Of houses that they're have to get it.
Actually, yesterday a colleague told me that only 5% of houses in the UK have aircon.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very
small. What? Yeah. That is really small. So, what you're describing is actually a really awesome IoT use case.
What?
Crisis breeds
not really
opportunities for innovation. Well, no, his house is probably pretty big. See, we live in a country where we just don't care about space. It's like a non-constraint, right? So we have large houses. So you can use IoT sensors very granular, in a granular way in your home to identify cool spots, or help with all the timing of the opening of the windows and all that stuff. But
but that depends on the climate change, right?
Help you manage and optimize.
It's the same that we talk with business, right? How many weeks are you going to have this hot wave, right? In your house, can you accept that? Can you live with that to have like a couple of weeks of 4 weeks super hot, and the other 11 months you don't need it?
Yeah.
So do you need to do that investment for that or not? Is it the return of investment makes sense or not?
Yeah, true. That's what the metaverse is for.
You don't need aircon there, right?
Yeah,
you the server farms they do, but they need it. But we have air conditioning at home, but some splitters, and then we have this portable air conditioner because in the office where I work, I don't have air conditioner. Here, so I have this portable, but it's super noisy. So sometimes I prefer to just open the window and enjoy fresh air
and deal with the heat, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it is a big problem. It is a big problem, and you're right. Maybe this is something that digital really can't help all that much. IoT, like you said, it's a capability that has a short window of value. Do you invest in a large infrastructure to number one, the large infrastructure, and then the IoT system to help you manage through those short periods where that system is necessary. So
I feel like
I think. Do you have Nest at home?
Yeah.
And this is compatible with air conditioning, or it only start with
just a thermostat?
We have a heater. We have a heater at our house, and so that's there, but it just doesn't have cold AC. But we still use it because you made a great point. Most of the year it's not a problem, and we've got the heater on, and Nest is doing that job. I think this is a great point for the success or failure of IoT overall. Just what you brought up. The fact that sometimes we're a solution in search of a problem. We're saying, but for these 2 weeks when it's really hot, we'll put all these IoT sensors all over your place and we're going to tell you where it is. And the person might go, yeah, that's just stupid. I'm going to walk around and find out myself. And you're like, all right. Like sometimes what we're solving is so incremental or ridiculous that it's like, a person could just walk around and find out, because a human being is the ultimate IoT sensor. The only time IoT makes sense is when you're doing it maybe larger scale, it's worth more money, something like that.
Yeah, that's true. Persistently too. We're not as we aren't as available and persistent, but how many use cases are there where that's absolutely critical? And that's the challenge. But I like what you're saying, because it's not only a a solution looking for a problem, you're actually trying to sell the problem to people sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Which is like totally ridiculous, because the person might just be going, well, we're trying to sell you, you have to get to 7 Sigma because everyone else is doing 7 Sigma. And then this guy's just going, you know what? We're okay with 6. And what the hell is 7 Sigma and this AI nonsense and optimization, blah, 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 and how much is it going to cost me? And that's where it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
And that, it's all craziness.
Well, it's the world that we are living, right? So you always need the latest version of the iPhone, and in theory, it looks like, we are being educated this way.
Yeah, but it's, sometimes we have to realize that it's wrong.
And indeed, absolutely.
You have to realize it's the wrong way of thinking. But like what we're seeing with a lot of these other hype technologies, that there's that one. When I was at Gartner, the thing I loved the most was the hype cycle. I thought that was their best thing ever created. Seriously. So props to the Gartner folks for coming up with that. But it is true, you get this huge hump of nonsense, and then as you're coming down, there's a few people that are ahead of the curve that actually can have the valuable conversations that are tuned into what's valuable to the most people and has the most revenue opportunity. And everyone else is just going to die off on that way down into that trough of disillusionment and disappointment, right? So,
you know what? I think you just came up with a new term for a new breed of analyst firm, the Hump of Nonsense. I wonder where AI is on the hump of nonsense. Oh my God,
that's
awesome!
It is awesome. But hey, so what's new in tech? How about the CHIPS Act?
Yes,
it might get passed.
It might going to get passed. So it's through the Senate. It's got to get through Congress, right?
It's gone through some test votes. I guess they're like doing some tweaks, but it looks like there is bipartisan support for it. So that's the big news here. I mean, do you guys even care about it? You probably don't, right? In Spain?
What are you talking about? I didn't understand what are you talking about.
Okay, well,
why would he care, and why would he even know about some internal United States bill in the Congress?
Yeah, but maybe we can sell you chips, IoT chips.
We're in Europe. We're going to manufacture the European chips. No, just joking.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, of course. No, the CHIPS Act, it's interesting. It seemed like it was this bipartisan slam dunk. It feels like it's not as much money as it used to be.
Yeah.
Is it 50 billion, 70 billion?
Yeah, something like 52. 52.
Okay. But I get it. We all get it, because we know basically a lot of the Asian countries, the government is sponsoring, funding a lot of research and all that stuff in conjunction with private industry over there. And so if we want to we've gone through this whole supply chain thing. If we want to not have as much dependencies on this stuff, then we have to do it. But I hear lots of negative comments saying this is corporate welfare.
Yeah.
This is, you're taking companies that are already profitable and just giving them money, and that's BS, and it's not fair. And I understand that point of view as well. I've also read that the 50 or 70 whatever billion is barely enough. It's not even close to as much money as they're going to need to try to. I read some article that basically that's no more than a down payment, and it's going to take hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars and a decade for U.S. chip manufacturing to catch up. And so they're saying this CHIPS Act is just barely a blip. It's something.
Yeah, it is something. But you also, the thing that I feel that everyone forgets is that the chip industry is super cyclical. It's just unusual that over the past, I would say 4 years, that there's just been this skyrocketing trajectory for the semiconductor industry, because that's not what it was like before. So there's a few super hype themes like AI, which is deflating as we speak. There's the whole crypto thing, crypto mining, autonomous this and that. Geez, what else? Data.
Well, obviously the big story around cars. We found out that cars are a giant consumer of chips, and we didn't realize it. And
yeah, but the ECUs are like total old legacy node stuff. It's none of the leading edge. So I think this is where people who think of chips just monolithically or in a singular way or a one-dimensional way don't understand the important nuances of the industry and the different generations of chips that are used in everything.
Yeah. A real world example with our team is Stephanie. When she got her new Chevy Tahoe SUV, it didn't have heated seats because of the chip shortage. They even told her that.
But they don't need them in Texas.
No, I agree.
Well, in winter they do for 2 weeks.
A day or 2 days, maybe.
When everything freezes over and then pipes burst and all that.
Exactly. But it's interesting. A lot of people didn't realize there could be hundreds of chips or more in a car. But that being said, if you ask the average person what a chip is, a CPU, they're going to think, oh, that Intel chip in my PC. That's what they think.
What a marketing campaign, huh?
Yeah, that's what they think. They don't realize it's little tiny ARM-based chips that are cranked out by TSMC and others that are tiny and going everywhere.
Yeah. And most of the focus is on logic. People don't understand that, the chip broader electronic supply ची issue has to do with all the sensors, like all the CMOS stuff, the MEMS stuff, memory, solid state storage or the NAND.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about that. They just, again, the problem. When we're looking at the problem, we don't see the whole problem, not enough details around the problem. So Rob, you're absolutely right. When you look at the 52 billion, the first question you ask is, what the hell are you going to do with this? Because, they're just buckets of spending for some broad categories of stuff. Some of those broad categories and the way that they've divvied up the funds, it doesn't make exact great sense, because they should have passed this crap 2 years ago, not sit on this thing while our situation has changed, right?
Yeah.
So this thing is like a year and a half late.
So a lot of people were bashing, we've been giving lots of love to Pat Gelsinger, who, came in to take over at Intel, because he realized quickly we got to move, and he's an engineer. A lot of times we have these companies that are engineering led companies, and then somewhere along the way, they hire the sales guy to be the CEO. And that's when problems happen. So it's good to have him back, but he was getting bashed recently in Ohio because, he talked about this 20 billion, whatever facilities building up in Columbus, Ohio, and they're all excited. And then all of a sudden he started going, well, we're waiting on the CHIPS Act to pass in order to have money to do that. And people are like, whoa, that was never part of any deal. And so there's a lot of anger around that kind of tethering, the quid pro quo, whatever.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders had some very unflattering words to describe that particular. Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet he did.
Yeah, but
he's probably been the most vocal opponent.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. If you were to ask me, where would the investments make sense? If we're really talking about a supply chain issue, it depends on objectives, right? So if the supply chain is the problem, or the supply, and strategic sourcing, if you will, localizing it, then it's the legacy node stuff, but there's only 2 billion for that, which is like a drop in the bucket. And that's what has to be really subsidized, right? The leading edge stuff, the market should drive that. Do you know what I'm saying? But what we have in the bill is this, in my opinion, imbalance. So, Intel, they purchased a Tower Semiconductor out of Israel, and these guys, they focus on, devices for that leverage, mature node and really old node manufacturing processes, which is it's a great thing. Good acquisition, good timing, but they already bought capacity, and then they're going to get money for leading edge, and who's going to do this? Money's going to go to TSMC as well as Samsung. These guys are the only ones that do leading edge.
That's the bottleneck.
And even with the latest deal, MediaTek going in and having a partnership with Intel IFS or Intel Foundry Services, it's all smart devices, which is their consumer IoT and some of their other lower end IoT devices. That's all mature nodes. They're not going to go.
Well, let's talk about Intel's Foundry Services, because Intel still isn't capable of doing 4 nanometer chip design. And
they're just getting started with EUV.
They're way behind. They're still cranking out. Most of their chips are still 10 and 12 nanometers, and so it's like, if you want to be a true foundry for all those leading edge chips, you got to show that you can even do it. And right now they can't do it. They're not there.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So how are things going at Balena these days? What's going on with Balena, man?
It's going well, but we are suffering the chip shortage. It's hard for customers to find hardware, honestly. So what it's good from Balena, and actually, I'm wearing Balena OS t-shirt today. It's that
you wear it every episode, man. What are you talking about?
Different one.
Oh,
marketing.
They are paying me. Shameless plug.
They are.
The thing is that this is a Linux operating system, so it's compatible with more than almost 100 different hardware. So you make the code once, and because Balena OS only runs containers, you can have the same code running on different bunch of devices. And this is the good part, that some customers starting to having one specific type of device, and because of the chip shortage, we're using a different one, but they are still using the same code.
We're losing you, bro.
Because they are using the advantage of using Balena. But these days we are having a lot of questions from customers like, hey, what can we do? What can we buy now? So there is nothing literally in the market.
Really?
And I never got on this. On these a lot of questions per week till this month. It's like there is nothing. Not sure why. No Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi just disappeared. I don't know where are the Raspberry Pis actually. I'm preparing a workshop for October at ARM Dev Summit, and finally I could find Raspberry Pi 3s, but they are they are from 2015. I'm going to use hardware from 2015 on a 2022 workshop. I don't know.
Workshop. That's interesting. Yeah.
And that. Hey, Bill, what's up, man? We're talking about the CHIPS Act, and then trying to get some insight from Marc here on what the situation is in Europe. So but whenever you get into a trade war or a tech war, you can't assume the other side doesn't have cards to play. And that is one of the cards that the Chinese industry is playing, because what they've been doing for a long time is stockpiling, and they're playing the market. So they create the scarcity, they take the stuff off the market, they feed the stuff into their OEMs and their right? You know what I'm saying? They're not
drop by drop, yeah.
Right. And so, as you start to think through policies, one of the worst things that you can do is just make these impetuous moves. And it's like one of the things that I tell a lot of my clients is that, and I learn from my clients too, is that there are so many landmines in navigating the landscape to get to good policy, right? It's frightening. And sometimes good policy doesn't look like feel good policy, right? It takes it's like playing chess. The way that you win chess is not winning the first couple of moves, taking a couple of pieces in the early turns of the match. It's thinking 5 steps ahead, like 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. And oftentimes, for the casual observer, it looks like the chess master is losing, right? So that looks like an unpopular move. But if your opponent is thinking 3, 4 steps ahead of you, you're going to be in trouble. And the biggest weapon that they have is inflation. If they can hike up prices.
What's your prediction from the US about inflation and all the layoffs and etc. that are happening in the tech scenario? Did you talk about that already, or on all the episodes?
Are you asking us that? I don't know. It's kind of like a hot mess right now, right? I mean, I think economists are still trying to figure out what the hell's really going on here. The Fed's going, hey, should we raise interest rates now as we're moving in towards sort of a quote unquote stagflationary situation? But I don't think, if you take, I think, the 70s textbook play and apply it today, I think it's the wrong thing. I think this is a completely supply side, well, actually, in that way, it is sort of similar to the oil crisis. But, this is much broader than just oil, right? This is a lot of stuff, especially with China. Since all these years, we've been benefiting from their cheap labor, cheap everything. So, Walmart's able to, as, Rick always harps on Walmart for able to provide low-cost consumer goods to everybody. I mean, go and look at any kind of manufactured good, even today. We went shopping for furniture. It's all still made in China. It's like, I don't see anybody shifting this stuff to Vietnam. Everyone talks about Vietnam, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Since when did Vietnam not really have a closer relationship with China than the West, And didn't we fight a war with them? And aren't they communist? So I don't know.
China's doing too much fishing in Vietnam waters.
Huh?
Are they communist?
Who?
I don't know if they are anymore.
China or Vietnam or Vietnam?
Well, China is for sure. I don't know about Vietnam these days. But Vietnam is China.
You been there?
Vietnam
in
is
China?
Totally.
Come on. This is not communist. They can call themselves communist, but they are not.
But then you
this
can say
the most capitalist country I've ever seen, more than the US.
Vietnam?
China.
Is what? Communist?
No, it's not.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if you're not going to call Vietnam a communist country, then yeah, you're right. China, by that same standard, is not a communist country. It's an authoritarian, sort of a oligarchy, I guess, is what you can call it. Authoritative oligarchy, but it's not probably North Korea is closest to real communism, communist dictatorship as you can get, and that's the outcome, poverty and just like misery.
I'm just glad that Bill's representing PlayStation today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I see you're representing Teal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show some love today. We had a good press release today. Yeah.
Right.
Folks over at Teal, it's really weird. Not a lot of people know about that whole space, that eSIM thing, and especially what Teal does is really even more kind of nuanced with just this platform that just credentials you natively on all these other carriers. They're not trying to be like an MVNO, but yeah, they created their own stack from the ground up. It turns out other people trying to do similar things are just using other companies' stuff to do it. And so getting this GSMA certification is a pretty big deal for Teal. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
cool. I mean, so the whole eSIM thing kind of popped off 2010,
yeah,
2000, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was happening, but carriers were like, nope, you're gonna burn my stuff in there, and it's gonna be so all you really did was have a silicon IMEI number burnt into your eSIM that you couldn't change. And the whole notion of it was, can we just change just like that? No, because and this is my issue, which is why I think Teal is extremely smart. The whole issue around carriers like Telefonica, Telcel, all of them, right? Vodafone, all of them, is that they're based on ARPU. I need to have that count on that device for my annual recurring revenue. Yeah. I need that. And if you start bouncing all over the place, we're going to have an accounting nightmare. No, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's right. It's not in the interest of a carrier to support that. All they're doing is making it easy for you to leave them. They don't want that.
Yeah. No, so they're like, they want their hooks in you. But I think you're, I mean, and there's the guy over there at Teal, Dean Mall. Who's
knows everybody, man.
Yeah.
He's awesome. That guy, I worked with him back in Sensity days when he was with Sprint.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So I'm like, I know if he made the move over there and I was following him and I was like, yo, I want to use him for some of the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
100%, because the eSIM stuff is the way to go. Now I don't have to worry about where I deploy.
Right.
And you start leveraging the whole lightweight M2M piece of it for auto provisioning. I mean, because these are the biggest problems that you have at a communications level is how do you get a device onto the network? Then how do you manage that device? And using standards, lightweight M2M is like beautiful for that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If only any people used lightweight M2M. If only it had adoption,
Yeah, that's a problem as well.
It has no traction. It has no adoption. I remember when because it's the same people who did OMA-DM for mobile devices management way back when, which I used to be in that space. And so I remember early on when companies started building their IoT platforms, there was this talk, we got to support lightweight M2M to provision the device and all that. And then a lot of them said, I just remember, being on the Azure IoT team. And so if this is like, I don't know, 2013, 2014, whatever it was, and you had a whole team that was focused on device management, and they did go down, they spent 6-8 months with lightweight M2M, and they abandoned it because they're like, it doesn't buy us anything over what we're already doing. And so so none of the big players even support it. And so when I go to Ericsson's all about lightweight M2M because it's such a telco thing or whatever. And I'm like, nobody uses it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's a good wire protocol, and it does you a lot of good stuff, but it just doesn't have any adoption for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting to understand why something is adopted or it's not adopted. Why technology or
I think it's an education thing. I think it's an education thing.
I think it's education. Maybe we needed better education about Betamax.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, but honestly, they should have, because those VHS tapes were like freaking ridiculous. They were like almost twice as big, and they sucked. I think the only
another kind of education was on VHS,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another kind of content, educative content, was there.
Yes. So many good
you can
articles.
Have more of it.
Yeah. You know what? Reduce friction for the user, make it easy, and your worst product can still win.
Yeah.
Not sure if this is. Yeah. No, I'm not sure if this is if this is the reason of success or not. I don't know. It's a mix of everything, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's and who pushes through all the dirty laundry, especially the old stuff, the old thinking. Who can push through that the fastest, And Rob, to your point, it doesn't have to be the best technology. It just has to be it could even be a perception of adoption. Because, back then in the 80s, they didn't have the market intelligence that they have today, right? So someone can say, well, this is the leading blah, 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 and then you would just believe it,
Yeah. And also, remember how unsophisticated the consumers were. Most people did not know how to set the clock on their VHS player. And so it was always blinking 12 o'clock. People are like, I don't know how this is magic from the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even set the damn clock. Program my VCR? What?
Yeah. and it's funny. That's why everyone's trying to dumb down everything. Oh, okay, my son is whining.
Dumb it down.
Keep talking.
Gotta dumb it down.
You know what trend that I Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was gonna say. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of lightweight MDM. I mean, I'm like, why would you do anything else? I struggle with it. A lot of stuff is there, especially with the latest releases. So if you look at IoT is one. They have the Iowa release, which I just recently saw, or it might be above that now. But I mean, it's a component. To me, it's a tool. It's an answer to the question of how do you provision the device? Well, look, we use lightweight MDM. Describe your device like this, like this, like this. Here are your attributes. Done. Lightweight MDM takes care of it. And now you get to really focus on the elements that will drive some level of differentiation between your services and the next company's services in terms of how do you manage that device? What do you do from a security perspective? If you find a bad actor, are you able to quarantine that bad actor and have it not participate in the network and things of that nature? So I just think as far as we need those standard ways and interoperability, of course.
Yeah, interoperability is a big thing.
Yeah, and you know what? A trend that I saw in Paris at the LoRaWAN Expo and in Embedded World in Nuremberg, I started to see talking about interoperability. But it's another. I'm going to talk about another layer. I start to see this trend of companies building these connectivity platforms to make everything interoperable, so you can talk LoRa. And the cellular technology, whatever it is, REST APIs, etc., all together there, and just you get an API on the other side and can consume the data. So I start to see that a lot of companies
layers and layers of middleware. Yes.
Yeah, the middleware.
How was it? Embedded World?
Embedded World was good. Yeah. It's huge. It's a smaller than Mobile World Congress, but it was really interesting. I could meet a lot of companies that I never met.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
But I only could have spent one day in the conference, so I didn't have enough time to visit everything. Yeah. And LoRaWAN Expo in Paris was really good. So the LoRaWAN ecosystem is super excited nowadays. But as well, what I was mentioning now, what I saw is this trend of companies trying to have this connectivity middleware of I accept everything from NB-IoT to GPRS or USSD to LoRa, Sigfox, whatever, satellite communication, and you can consume it on the other side, whatever you like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's.
I mean, but what are they doing with it though? That's the thing, right? Because you can say, everybody draws these diagrams where they, where I'm going to go horizontal all the way across. And then you see the lines of different connectivity options all flowing up to it. And then they just got that name in there. And then on the other side, there's a bunch of services. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so what happens inside that box? Because at the end of the day, I mean, look, I can do the same thing, if you just tell me what type of connection that I'm going to deal with, right? So I understand you're going to describe your connection as a LoRaWAN connection, and I'm going to say, great, transparent tunnel, I'm going to stuff it into a pipe and send it off to the next location, wherever there's a receiver. Yeah. I mean, when I hear someone say, or when I hear any company say, oh yeah, we can deal with, the cellular types. All right, well, NB-IoT is very well defined and described. Same thing with GPRS and all the others. They're very well defined and described. And the way that they operate is somewhat easy to deal with. When you start talking about LoRa and LoRaWAN, now you got the network server involved, and how are you dealing with the network server? How are you dealing with the data? The data can only be owned and shared. But I mean, it's just, there are so many different rules.
Yeah. No, of course, you can do your own LoRa network server, but yeah, how do you get the connectivity? How do you get roaming among networks? So yeah, they make transparent all these parts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an MVNO for all the connectivities. Sort of. This is what I so
I'm going to count.
So you don't care about if there is coverage. So if you have a LoRa chip and I'm using that platform, I'm going to get LoRaWAN connectivity if there is coverage there.
Yeah. So I'm going to coin a new acronym, XAS acronym. It's called Unified IoT Communications as a Service. UIOTC ass. Coming at you, baby.
AAS.
Gonna break the internet.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, that's just, it's just wild.
God.
It's
watch
wild
next year.
When you hear those things. I mean, I think, who is it? Well, Oracle kind of does that. They'll say that that's what they do. Hitachi kind of does that.
Oracle? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And then you can find
Oracle still exist.
Oh yeah.
You know what? That's good. That's a great question. I've definitely had a number of friends from Microsoft who've gone over to Oracle and helping them build their Oracle cloud. Who knew?
Yeah. No, they're doing it, and IBM is on a relaunch.
What are they going to relaunch?
Honestly, man, IBM should have never lost it.
The what?
They did.
No, their whole, a lot of the industrial stuff that they were doing, totally leading edge. I mean, beyond anything, all the stuff we're talking about now, IBM with their pre-commercialization work with IBM Research was doing insane crap 10 years ago. And they never were able to bridge that with the rest of the portfolio, the software group and the GBS folks, because these, if you're in the ERP world, you're so detached from like the industrial world. People don't admit that, but it is true. Unless you're in there, right, talking to CTOs and engineers that are in the OT side, people on the ERP, they just see like the summary data coming through. And that's called detail. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and so the rest of the GBS organization, which was PwC Consulting plus, their former global services, these guys didn't have any. For the vast majority of them, didn't have any industrial experience from a experience perspective, right? Industry perspective. They're more targeted with like supply chain and core financials, which is all the ERP stuff that they really were making huge bank on, right? So, but it's sad that IBM didn't take leadership in all this stuff.
Yeah, and now it's just a battle, right? It's a battle across the board. You got C3 out there, they're doing their thing. You got Oracle kind of trying to pick themselves up and go in that direction. You got Azure, GCP, and AWS all battling across the board. And I'm like, this is great. Yeah. this is great. I mean, because at the core of it, in a lot of instances, if you're thinking about it, all I really want from the cloud provider is infrastructure as code.
No.
That's really all I want. Just give me infrastructure as code, give me my environment, let me set up my cluster, my Kubernetes clusters and everything like that. I'll take care of everything else.
Yeah,
right?
that's all that.
Give me a pipeline for DevOps and I'm good.
Yeah, that's CPaaS, right? Communication, platform as a service type models. Yeah.
But that doesn't, you talk to them in a lot of instances, they don't really want that. Because if you're going to build it, what they really want you to do is build it with their tools and their services. Now you're kind of, this is my primary cloud provider. Porting something over that is a full, whether it's software modules or a platform or connected pieces. If you build it in AWS, you are going to have a hell of a time going over to Azure and vice versa.
Right. Yeah, that's a lock-in strategy that they have, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to abstract myself from all of that. And just give me infrastructure as code or, And
who gives that today? Nowadays, who can give that?
AWS can give you that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you just talking about just using plain old IaaS type stuff? Just upload your VM kind of thing, and don't take dependencies on past services.
Yes, and generic type things, right? Because if you look at how each cloud platform provider kind of describes their Kubernetes and their Kubernetes services is a bit different. You can't just say, "Oh, here's a Kubernetes cluster, drop it in there." It's like, no, well, wait a minute. What's going in? What's coming out? Where does it go? What else are you using in there? So
they're going to entangle you.
Exactly. I'm trying to avoid the entanglement.
But,
but it's all about entanglement, man.
Yeah, multi-cloud is like that's nirvana. To be honest, I'm like, for the stuff that we're building right now, we are saying, we want to be multi-cloud. But there's really only two that we're really going to be working with, and that's it. The rest of it, we'll do B2B VPN or something else to kind of get the data. At the end of the day, I'm going to say I'm going to take that approach. I don't care where your data comes from or anything like that. Just send it to me and give me the APIs, and we'll make it work.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So, hey, Rob, so, going back earlier, I think you were about to say something about Vietnam. You said something about the South Sea or what?
Yeah. You were, why would
not a communist country?
I didn't make a comment about that, but there is a comment that Vietnam and China are not friends. And part of it is China infringing on territorial water rights in the South China Sea of these other Southeast Asian countries, Vietnam being one of them.
Yeah.
I know we don't talk much about fishing on this show, but
we should.
But it turns out that's a thing for a lot of countries, and so fishing rights so the Chinese are infringing on fishing rights in Vietnam and other places, and China's building fake islands. That they just keep pouring sand and dirt and everything to make an island so that they can say, oh, well, now we've increased. This is now China. And so now you're in our territorial waters. And so it's a bullying tactic. And even though we can all see right through it, they just do it. So the U.S. is routinely sending destroyers and stuff right by these fake islands all the time, saying this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the deal with Vietnam.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Yeah. But I wouldn't necessarily characterize them. All countries have beefs with each other, right? Certain types, but I don't think that's such an overriding thing that you could say that they're enemies, And
they're just mad at each other. It's
kind of like the UK and the EU are mad at each other.
Yeah.
We're always mad at Mexico and Canada for some reason, with the NAFTA stuff. So yeah, no, it's.
Oh, I should do my Ross Perot impersonation from the early '90s.
NAFTA.
If you pass this NAFTA legislation, you're going to hear a sucking sound coming from south of the border.
I mean, the thing is, going back to that topic. I mean, there's always a price to pay for short-sightedness, and it's interesting to see that the chip situation. And I always love Marc's perspective, because he has that sense on the ground of what's available, right? And the impact is still there. The shortage is there, but then the risk is also you build all this capacity, and then they play the global pricing for this stuff, and then they throw all that inventory back onto the market, and then next thing you know, price of chips plummet. You know what I'm saying? And then that can also then have a very deleterious effect on our industries, but
that's the big word you just used there.
Yeah, but I know SAT, man. Very few SAT words that I remember.
You must have had the study guide. Wow.
What was it? The Princeton Review? Remember that? They still have that thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. Oh my gosh.
It was kind of a stupid, senseless test. In retrospect,
the reason they invented the SATs and the ACTs was as a counterweight to, typically it was just, well, how did you rank? What was your GPA? How did you rank in your high school?
Yeah. And
that used to seem like it was enough, except we found out that all schools were not created equal. And we also, right. We also found out
there's happening here too.
Or if I went to, let's say I went to I was in Harper, Texas, with only 100 people there, and I had a 4.0, and they got me into Harvard, and then I rapidly failed out because I clearly was in over my head, but because I came from this little town where I seemed like a stud. So they needed something, which is a whole other discussion, because as you've heard lately, there's a lot of schools are saying we're going to stop doing the SATs or, taking those. The SAT was a counterbalance to say, just because you're a valedictorian of your loser high school that's not good at all, doesn't mean you qualify to go to Stanford. And so the SATs was trying to be a counterbalance to that scenario. So who knows?
Yeah, that's, and that, I guess there is some merit to that. I'm just talking about the test. The test could probably be better, but you're right, because nowadays everyone's a straight A student, and that has a lot to say about our education system here, where you have to make all the parents feel good and all the kids feel good, and where's the competition? Do you know what I'm saying? Where's
Leonard? Do you think our children will go to the university? Is this going to be a good sign for anyone to go to the university?
No, you know what? I'll tell you what. University is a waste of time. You know what you become? I'm serious, dead serious about this. You become a plumber.
I agree. So.
Dude, you know how much these guys try to charge per hour?
So you're saying don't go to university?
Unbelievable. Oh, no. Go out there and give competition to a freaking plumber.
Go be a welder, electrician,
screw all this virtual
HVAC repair.
Crap. Yes. You know how much they make?
How much?
Oh, dude. Yeah. They will go out to do one corporate job. They make $10,000. Like a few hours of work. God knows how much work that they do, because they won't even give you an itemized breakdown. They won't even give you a rate. They just price it. $10,000.
Marc and
air conditioning.
Marc and I thought we were plumbers building IoT technology.
At some point, yeah.
There is a lesson to be learned here.
But actually, in Europe, education, it's kind of free. It's university, it's not free, but it's not that crazy expensive as in the US. I met a lot of US people who paid, who need to get big loans, right? To pay high school or...
Right.
So, it's pretty different. But on the other hand, the education must change a lot, I guess.
Yeah. But see, I think this is you're making a great point, Rob. You guys thought that you're going to make as much as a plumber doing virtual plumbing, and that's delusion that the metaverse people have. They think that they're going to make a crap ton of money doing virtual crap when the temperatures on our planet are rising. And the most demanded jobs are going to be people who keep our HVAC systems up, and that's a entirely physical thing,
Let me just play it out for you how the future is going to look. Do you ever drive around maybe where you live and you see those storage places, where you can go get a storage room, put your extra stuff in it?
Uh-huh.
All right. In the future, we're going to just be stacking bodies inside those. There'll be in a pod because that's they're
like the capsule hotels in Japan.
Yeah, because those places a lot of them are, they talk about, hey, climate controlled, air conditioned, or heated.
Yeah, so that's a perfect place for dead bodies.
We're going to stack bodies inside those in pods. They'll be plugged into the metaverse. And the only people you're going to see out and around will be the HVAC repair guy, the plumber, those guys, electrician.
The internet guy, Those Amazon delivering.
Everybody else is just going to have their VR goggles on. And we're just going to give them a slow kind of saline drip into them to barely keep them alive.
Oh, man.
And that's what it is.
You know what?
Actually, that's a part of a dystopian novel I've been writing for a few years.
There you go. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to reading it. By the way, talking about books, look what I got now on Amazon.
What?
No correlations.
Wow.
How to build a what? How to build
a successful developer program. So.
Oh, cool.
Developers.
Focus on developers.
Huh?
Yes. Focus on developers and the community and the ecosystem.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful.
That's awesome because this is what I'm reading right now.
What? It's going to remake our world. Oh, crap.
Learning machine. Oh, my goodness. Is it good?
Wow.
Jeez.
So far, it is. I mean, it literally, it's funny how we get into it. And, we do things and we're like, I know this, I know that. And, that was foundational. Or that was going back and going, you know what, I'm going to read foundational stuff again so that I can see, do I still agree with it? Is it different? It's been great for that, for me to, read that and then go, wait a minute, that's kind of happening now, but this part isn't happening. It just gives you a different perspective, but it's a good read.
That's cool.
Are we doing like summer books recommendations today to end the episode or?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Are we doing book recommendations?
Oh, yeah. That's
yes,
cool. I haven't
we are
been reading anything. I just read just junk. So
you're only Kimchi Bandit, so you don't have time to read.
Kimchi Bandit.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to show you here the book I was reading. I'll show you my Kindle. Let's see if I can get it on the big screen here.
Can we say that you're reading a book or?
Oh, that's a good question. Was I really reading?
Den of Thieves.
Everyone should read this.
What is this? Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves. Yeah, this is about Michael Milken and Ivan.
Wait. What? Sorry.
This is okay. Go ahead.
No, we know about Michael Milken and your awesome Milken Institute because he's a good guy now. After being a common criminal, he might as well be hanging out with Skilling and all the guys from Enron. But now he's loved and has his event in LA every year that you went to.
No, I did go, but no. But what I'm trying to bring up is all the crypto people should read this.
Yes, the cryptos.
Yeah.
All right, so can you see Stanley Tucci right there?
Yeah. Taste.
Okay. So I read, Taste. Actually, I listened to the audiobook because he narrated it, but it's, I don't know if you happen to see his show. I think it's been on CNN. It's called In Search of Italy or Finding Italy or something like that. It's all about food. And so the book Taste, the audiobook's great because he's great narrating. You hear his voice. It's great. But he kind of talks about his whole life from childhood, but it's all around food. And so, if you're into that, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's kind of like a different take on like listening to an Anthony Bourdain thing, about food.
Yeah.
It's just Stanley Tucci doesn't cuss as much or isn't as vulgar as Anthony was.
Then he doesn't
that's the part I'm going to miss.
Does he eat freaky stuff like Anthony Bourdain?
No, not really. Yeah,
I think that's about 90% of the reason why people watch this show. They go, okay, what kind of freaky thing is he going to eat now?
I thought what was interesting is Stanley Tucci when he's growing up as a kid, because his parents were first-generation immigrants from Italy.
Yeah.
They so wanted to assimilate and they so wanted to be American when they got here. And he's like, he feels like they've lost that. But it talked about being a kid going to school in the lunchbox, and while all the other kids, the local American kids, they got their whatever bologna and cheese sandwich or peanut butter and jelly. His mom was like making these amazing Italian dishes and putting them in his lunchbox. And he's just having this, all these kids are like, "What are you eating?"
Beating him to steal the lunchbox.
Yeah, it was a total opposite experience for me when my mom used to pack our lunches, and it was all the stinky Korean food. And nobody wanted to eat that. They'd go, "Oh my God, get away from us!" It smells like ass.
And when you share the kitchen in an office, there is always someone who bring curry to eat and put it on the microwave, and then all the office smells really bad. So
no, dude. Actually, curry smells pretty good. It might be at times,
but it smells too much.
Right, but wait until someone walks in with like kimchi, like kimchi stew. Then you can complain, because that does not. Most people are not going to find it pleasant. Anyway, who wants to take us out? Hey, let's have Marc do it, since it's been so long since he's been on.
Yeah, well, actually, if you are watching right now, just leave us your book recommendation or the food that you had on your lunchbox when you were studying. And thanks for watching. This is IoT Coffee Talk. We are doing this every week. I'm not sure we do summer breaks or not, but learn about IoT, tech, cheap hacks, and more things here.
And more nonsense.
See you next week.
Take care, guys.
Adios, everyone.